Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Recovery Classroom. My name is Drew. I am an alcoholic, and today I'm a recovering alcoholic, and I cannot be any more grateful. Just want to take a second and thank our friends in the treatment facility for letting us come in last night and hang out with you guys for a crosstalk meeting. So many people in that room. It's just like, God, how do you fit that many people in there? A lot of fun, and we just had a hell of a good time, and we just want to thank you guys once again. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, thank you guys for letting us come in and hang out with you guys. You guys kept us sober one more night, so thank you. Speaking of last night's meeting, we had a couple topics that we were not able to get to, and so Drenna and I talked, and we're going to do things differently this week. She took a few topics that she's going to discuss on the Recovery Classroom page. I took a few topics. Actually, she gave me a few topics, and so I'm going to talk about. So you're going to see both of us this week trying to attack these topics and discuss these topics that came in at Crosstalk. She gave me one of these cards that was submitted last night, and all it had on it was the word status quo. The word status quo, and I was like, man, there's a lot of depth there. The word status quo, it's actually a phrase. It's a Latin phrase that means the existing state of affairs. The existing state of affairs. So there's a lot of depth. So we could be talking about the existing state of affairs of my life, how I'm just barely hanging on. I'm still stuck in that addiction lifestyle. I can't seem to break it. I remember being at that point in many times in my life where I couldn't even go be sober for 24 hours. So how the hell did I possibly think I could ever get sober at all? And so I was just trying to maintain the status quo, just hold on long enough to make sure that the pieces of my life, what few pieces I still had hold of, didn't fall apart. And I was trying to maintain the status quo. I was trying not to let things in my life get any worse. You could be trying to maintain the status quo of, you get sober for a little while and that's good enough, and you end up relapsing. And you're like, oh God, I can't believe I relapsed. I can't believe I'm back here at this very same point I was just a few months ago. And then you get sober again and then you relapse. We could be maintaining that status quo of that cycle of insanity, getting sober and relapsing. We're getting sober and relapsing because we just can't seem to figure out how to break that cycle because we're too busy trying to maintain that status quo. You could be doing good. You could be sober right now, clean and sober right now. You could be in a treatment facility, and you're like, man, I need to maintain what I've got, maintaining that existing state of affairs. I need to maintain my sobriety. Again, we don't know. All that was written on the card was just the word status quo. I think, to touch on those 3 points real quick. Again, I remember that lifestyle that I felt like I could not even get sober for 24 hours. So I was just barely holding on, just trying to maintain the status quo to keep things from getting worse. That cycle of insanity, that getting sober, doing good for 3 months, and then I'd relapse for 5 months. And then I'd get sober for 2 months, and I'd relapse for 6 months. That became a status quo that I was just trying to maintain. I was trying not to let things get any worse. And then I remember when I got sober, I was like, shit, I want to maintain this. Before, with those first two items, the bullet points I pointed out, I was trying to keep things from getting worse. Well, when I got sober, it changed. I started trying to maintain things just to maintain things. And I learned throughout my recovery that when we just maintain, that's when we can become complacent. That's when we can become complacent, and complacency kills, man. I mean, I've seen a lot of people, seen complacency take a lot of people back out, myself included, by the way. Myself included. I was fortunate enough to be one of the ones that made it back, thank goodness. When we get sober, sure, we understand, okay, now we're sober, so we could just be good, right? We're good, we're cured, if you will. That's not the case. I was never cured of my alcoholism. I was recovered, but I was never cured, and I never will be cured, and I'm okay with that. When I got sober to live my life, not to just exist, but to live my life, to enjoy my life, to experience those emotions, to not live in that status quo of sobriety. Because again, that's how complacency sneaks in and takes me back out. So when I read that card, those were the first three things that came to my mind, and I wanted to share this with you today. Are you maintaining the status quo of your existing lifestyle, just barely hanging on, hoping you can hang on for as long as possible to the few pieces of your life that you have left? Are you maintaining the status quo, trying to keep it from getting worse, going through that same repetitive cycle of insanity, getting sober and then relapsing, getting sober and relapsing? Or are you comfortable maintaining your existing state of sobriety? And are you comfortable with that? And are you missing out on benefits and blessings that God has in store for you? I think it's a great way to talk about status quo and to think about that status quo, maintaining that status quo. But again, we have to be careful. Sometimes when we're just maintaining, we're not growing. And I got sober so I could grow, become a better human being. So with that being said, I'll let you guys go. Thank you guys for letting me come in and share 5 to 10 minutes of your day with you. You guys absolutely keep me sober, and I could not be any more appreciative. If there's a topic you'd like to hear discussed, feel free to drop it into an email to us, Drew@recoveryclassroom.org. I'll take a look at it, see what we can do. We'll be talking again soon. Remember, guys, you can't get drunk if you don't take that first drink.